Alright, what do we got here? Pokimane calls out rich people while being a multimillionaire. Gets corrected, then says it's about the ultra giga rich, not her. Okay, like, are we gonna have to sort of talk about the distinction of proletariat and bourgeoisie here? Because again, this exact same fucking argument has been called out about actors and musicians in the past. How many people have like talked about like called out like Chappell Roan, who talked about like how average workers are, for example, like not getting the payments that they need in order to survive and aren't getting the fucking healthcare benefits. How many times has that happened? Probably very very fucking often. So let's be fucking honest here. This guy, this Yeet fucking dumbass, TMZ for streamers. I can only imagine just how much grass this individual is probably touching. And is also like a fucking like weirdo fucking DGG orbiter seemingly. But well, tomato tomato potato potato. So she's not wrong. Like she is rich herself, but again, it's about who owns the means of production. Does Pokimane own the sort of platform? Does she have stake in the fucking platform that she streams on in particular? Is she a part of the bourgeoisie? Nah. It's a little weird. It's a bit of a blurry line because streamers, obviously, they're the ones who can download their own softwares needed for streaming. They have to buy the equipment, buy the microphone, buy the webcams, buy the other associated electronic equipment in order to be able to stream. So there is an argument to say that yes, streamers are, well, the main sort of like creators of their own content. They have full creative liberty and freedom to sort of do whatever they want. They don't have a boss above them. They have full ability, and they also hire teams to talk, like editors, like thumbnailers and other like annotators or some shit. Like it doesn't matter, whatever. For people who help sort of like help in the creation of content. But do streamers have any ownership in the direction and policies that are adopted by the platforms that they stream on? No. So in reality, there still is someone above them. It's just the tenuous link there is significantly more abstract. It's a little weird, right? Like, I've made the argument before that you can certainly say that do streamers own their own means of production? No. Technically speaking, no. Because if the platform goes away, it dies, for example. Let's say Twitch overnight just shits the bed, it's gone. They're out of a job. You can honestly argue that their position is way more unstable than in comparison to a lot of other sort of jobs and positions, right? Because if platforms just all of a sudden poof go away, like what is this streamer to do? This is like the same shit that when Twitch left Korea, for example. There was quite a few Twitch streamers in Korea that because of net neutrality laws, and by net neutrality laws, what I mean by that is anti-net neutrality laws that were passed in South Korea at the behest of the telecom companies, your T1s and Samsungs of the world. A lot of the Korean Twitch streamers were forced to leave Twitch and go to Africa, for example. Something that Africa is totally okay with because, hey, guess what? They benefit way more significantly from that because they get more of the market share of streaming within Korea, which I don't know how big of a market that is. That can be debated, but whatever. Doesn't really matter all that much. Because Twitch was forced to leave because they would have had to pay a lot more for broadband on, well, the Korean lines that are controlled by T1, and I don't think Samsung is one of the telecom companies. It's T1 and KT. T1 and KT. Those are the two main telecom providers within South Korea. They didn't want a bunch of foreign stuff going in. They wanted to make it more restrictively expensive for foreign companies to be able to use their broadband, and so a law was passed about that. for the benefits of those two particular corporations. Thus making more of a suffering for net neutrality within South Korea. So, because of that, all the streamers that were on Twitch are forced to move to, say, Africa or other streaming platforms. They just got fucked over like that. Crazy. So again, did they have a choice in what happened to their platform of choice? Those streamers. Were they able to have a say in that? No. They were not. They had the rug basically pulled out completely under them because of corporate fucking greed by KT and T1. So, again, I sort of posit the question. If we are talking about people who have a lot of money from their particular line of work, musician, streamer, actor, are they the owners of their own means of production? Because that's the sort of distinction there in particular, right? It's not about how much money they have. Do you think musicians have like a say in what like their record labels put out and how they have certain conduct, certain conduct that they have? Not really. They don't really have much of a say about that, which makes them, in the sort of Marxist distinction of who's bourgeois and who's proletariat, that would make the musicians the proletariat. They are the product that is being marketed by these companies, for example. The distinctions there are a little unique, obviously. But if we are talking about only in the frames of like how much money is made by people, it really makes it sort of ridiculous and stupid to have these like conversations, because like that doesn't really matter to these people. No, it's mostly just a bunch of people who want to like have another idiotic excuse to probably go after Pokimane, right? Because it's not about like her being a multimillionaire. It's about who has functional control over what they can do. Twitch does have a TOS, for example, that you have to adhere to. Do streamers have a say in what the TOS is covered? No, they don't have any say over that. That is also technically like one of their bosses, one of the people who have power over them.
Do you think someday we'll have a revolution like that in America? Right? It's getting there, right?
We already have one.
Another one.
What's going on?
I think she's in France currently right now, I suppose. So I guess she's like maybe met up with some like random French lefties talking about like the French Revolution or some shit. Maybe some guy like mentioned the historical event. Maybe.
What's going on?
The wealth disparity's getting bad.
The wage gap, I hate that shit.
No, wealth disparity.
Wealth disparity.
Wage gap is like between men and women. Men and women, we love each other.
Facts.
And we hate the rich. Anyways.
Real.
Too much.
Aren't you the rich?
No. Like the ultra rich, the ultra giga rich, the unnecessary.
I mean, Pokimane is rich, but like, yeah, again, like the distinctions that I'm saying, like, does she have control over the means of her own production, right? Like, Pokimane's not like a fucking communist or whatever. She's probably like a social democrat or whatever, or like some flavor of progressive fucking liberal, right? Like, she is rich, but again, like what I mentioned before, does she have say over what the platform that she currently streams on, what they can do to produce content to have like more like, I don't know, preferable outcomes for herself, to accrue more capital for herself? No, she doesn't have that. She can't do that. She has a lot of clout and power and can make suggestions, I assume. Probably not. Maybe? I don't think so. Maybe? Maybe. But does she have a say? Is whatever she would say, would that be sort of like a doctrine that Twitch would adopt? No, she doesn't have that power. She doesn't have that clout or ability. I don't think so. So, I don't think what she's saying is not ridiculous. She is a part of the rich, but she's rich. She's not bourgeoisie. She doesn't have control over, well, the means for her production, right? Obviously, she has like the ability to, privately own all of the equipment necessary to be able to stream. So she has creative liberty in that sense. But that's creative liberty. Like I said before, if the platform were to go poof, she'd be out of a job. or have to go to another platform, negotiate a contract with like YouTube or some shit. Random example, obviously, but oh yeah, also yeah, she's under contract with Twitch, right? A lot of big streamers are fucking contracted to Twitch, for example. I completely forgot about that fucking distinction, right? So yeah, she's a contractor that works for Twitch. She is essentially hired by Twitch. They give her a fucking salary. She puts out content according to whatever the fucking contract says, like how much time, like even ad breaks and stuff like that. Like I said before, she doesn't actually really own her own means of production. That's like the point. So pointing out the fact that she's rich is a meaningless distinction here. It doesn't mean anything.
To
Fairly
clarify, they're gonna clip that and it's gonna make you look bad.
Oh,
You
The
gotta
ultra
say,
giga
you gotta
rich.
say the billionaires.
the
That's
billionaires.
true.
You are rich.
The Bezos.
You can't be saying that.
I am. I'm rich in friendship.
Yes.
So she's not wrong when she says this. She's not, like obviously is she like a part of the rich or something? Does she have like means and says within the like platform in terms of like policy or whatever? No, she doesn't. Like she doesn't. Not at all. But people who are fundamentally dishonest, like drama farmers like this, are going to say like, she meant she's a rich and she's like making fun of the rich, when it's just like, no, it's about like outlining relationships to, like I said before, the means of production. Like, if we want to get all fucking Marxist about it, but whatever. None of these people really give a shit. It's all about like going after Pokimane for being like a flavor of liberal progressive. That's really about it. It's silly. It's stupid.